2 years. It's been a bit over 2 years since I last uploaded, and a lot has changed since then. The elephant in the room is that big shift in the AI landscape, and the question is, what does it mean for us programmers and those that want to become one? Machine learning and neural networks, that was around for decades. I remember playing around with TensorFlow for the first time somewhere in 2018. I was too busy with Houdini, but I tried to get my feet wet and at least learn the basics. AI was an interesting topic, but it wasn't at all on the radar of mainstream media. So what is different now? What created all this hype? But also the anger, fear and uncertainty that you can also see around AI. One reason is that some of those models now have reached human-like capabilities, if not surpassed us in many aspects. For example, something that viewers of this channel are probably more familiar with, the wave of AI text-to-image models like Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, or maybe now more relevant DALL-E 3. Simple text prompts can output images in amazing quality within seconds. Of course, a skilled artist can create these images, and you can argue that the human touch through experience and creativity is yet to be achieved by AI. But the important factor here is speed. The speed of iterating through ideas is a big reason what makes AI so powerful, not only for images, but in all categories. But at this point, it is important to take note of some obvious problems around this new generation of AI models. First, the way these models were created used data that was never intended to be used for it. So there's a huge copyright question. There's a scene in the book Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, the creator of The Martian. Without spoiling too much here, in that book, humanity needs to build something really big, and world leaders give total authority to the one in charge. That one decides to take and use every single piece of human work ever created and throw it into that project. In the book, there is a short lawsuit for that very same copyright question. But since the plot of the book is about humanity's survival, it is buried very quickly. The quote of that character was, "I have no time for this bullshit." While it's funny and well written in the book, it's not the same in real life. We do not know if at some point in time the advances in AI will have a major impact. Some are convinced it will, others are not. If you only look at today, it is a product and the creator is currently getting paid for people using it. So it's understandable if creators of various fields are pissed when their work was used to train the model, but their answer towards copyright does still sound a little bit like, "I have no time for this bullshit." I felt it was important to point this moral question out before looking at the good and bad with a more technical perspective. So let's continue with that now. While text-to-image shook especially visual artists, it was the advances around language model that created a lot of the noise. And they are those that impact programmers, educators, technical artists, and many more. Today I am trying to look at it through the lens of a programmer. There are some experts in the field that compare this new generation of models to be as impactful as the moment when suddenly everyone had their own smartphone in their pocket. Which is ironic since ChatGPT is already in your app store. Every one of us has access to powerful AI models right in their pockets. So what is a large language model, or LLM in short? And how do they impact programming? Language models are trained on enormous amounts of data, hundreds of gigabytes of text, essentially a snapshot of the internet, plus whatever other sources the builders could get their hands on. With all that data and fine-tuning through human feedback, the model is now, to simplify it, guessing what word follows next. That resulted in signs of intelligence in the model that were actually even surprising to the builders themselves. It is even a bit scary, but they actually are not sure why it got so good at, for example, writing essays for the homework of your kids. While there's a number of models out there, like Google's PaLM, Meta's Llama or Anthropic's Claude, just to name some of the other big players in the field. For simplicity, I use GPT as an example, and I think for many it is the one most known, simply for its easy access through ChatGPT and the headlines it created by obtaining 100 million users in record time. Recently, following the OpenAI Dev Day, they even had to close new ChatGPT Plus subscriptions because the demand went through the roof again. It's clear that this generation of AI is already reshaping the environment for many sectors. That is especially true for a skill like programming. You can generate working code with it, analyze, document, or improve existing code. The question is, will future generations like GPT-5, 6 through 10 make programmers fully obsolete? Does it even make sense to start education in computer science? The answer to that is nobody knows. Maybe. Programming will most definitely change. For now, today, you can't simply replace an experienced programmer with a novice using a tool like GPT to build complex software. The experienced programmer, however, that is utilizing AI is turning into a coder on steroids. You can build complex software with tools like GPT way faster if you were already able to build them without AI. But that is the second pillar of complication around AI. While I do think that there's a lot to be gained through AI to improve the life of many, in the short term, meaning in the coming years, I would assume that many positions in various fields become obsolete. Or rather, one person does the work of 5 or even more because he uses a new generation of tools that will become the new normal in the workplace. While it all starts to adapt to the new environment, new positions will be created. AI experts on various levels will be needed. But you might have a stretch of time where not everyone is able to relearn. Not enough new positions are created. It is very difficult, if not impossible, to predict how this transition will take place. But you can already see impacts, like those headlines of IBM in May, freezing hiring and replacing jobs that can be impacted by AI. While the battles around the copyright question will potentially change the current developments, I agree with an opinion that I heard again and again. We opened Pandora's box here. There's no way around AI being a part of the future. Even if a company like OpenAI is sued into oblivion, the tech is out there, will be improved and will become more and more capable with new iterations. So as a programmer, or rather everyone in any area, you should start to think about how AI might impact your field and what you can do about using tools like GPT to improve your work and your daily life, and to stay competitive. But before we do that, let's point out the quirks and limitations of the current AI generation. Basically the reason why programmers have still time. While the results you can get out of ChatGPT, for example, are impressive, it is also very easy to get, well, let's say, quirky results. You must remember that model has no idea of right or wrong. It is still just playing a very advanced guessing game of what a good answer might be. Sometimes it can come up with things that leave you scratching your head, from bizarre code suggestions to downright hilarious predictions. GPT, in terms of programming, is heavily trained on Python, so it is very good at solving tasks with that. It does also know other languages, but tends to get confused faster if you try more complex ideas. First problem, it might create something that solves the main task you asked for, but it is either very inefficient when doing that, or leaves out important details, which in turn make the code not work at all. And the second problem are so-called hallucinations. There are many reasons why AI could start to hallucinate, from vague or too complex prompts to just plainly don't knowing the correct answer. It is still trying to give you an answer anyway. To be able to generate a result, it doesn't shy away from imagining that there was a function available for that task. As I said, the model does not think in terms of truth or lie. The key is that you need to understand this limitation and how to tweak your own interactions with the system to get the best possible result. With that established, What does that mean for us? Talking about programmers is a good example here. As it stands now, AI is an amazing tool, but not a replacement. You still need the understanding. Yes, AI can generate code. And yes, especially with multi-agent frameworks, meaning when you have multiple instances of AI in different roles work together, the results can be very detailed. But if you don't understand the bits and pieces you get out of the system, you're very limited in what you can do with it. One key skill of a programmer is problem solving. When learning this skill, this is trained by doing the work yourself, by running into issues and solving them. You learn what potential pitfalls lie ahead when you start a new project. You adopt best practices that help you become a better programmer. If you rely on generated output too early, not only will you struggle to find problems when you encounter bugs, you will find it difficult to write a prompt for AI to create what you wanted in the first place. This in turn limits your creative control on what you want to create. AI is generating its code according to patterns and data that it was fed earlier. If your goal is to create something original, something that needs very customized logic, it is very difficult to trick GPT into writing what you have in mind. A much better approach is to use GPT to create a template of what you want to do. Then you can go in and flesh out the detail, be it manually or with more precise commands for the AI in a second iteration. But that requires you to understand where and how to create your custom logic. This and many more intricate reasons are still speaking for you to become a programmer. And that is something that I want to focus on in the future. Not only to show you how to code in Vex, but understand programming in general, how to become a programmer. A programmer that can apply skills like problem solving and algorithmic thinking in any environment, be it Houdini, game development or automation. But we also need to accept the fact that AI tools are here and they are very likely to stay. And it is also very likely that the role of a programmer will change over time. But this will not happen overnight. And it's also not the first time that it changed. Programming languages got more and more abstract to make the process of programming easier and more efficient. From punch cards over assembler to C, and then more modern languages like Python, C#, or maybe Rust. We changed paradigms like procedural to object-oriented programming. And maybe the future leads us to prompt programming. But again, that will not happen overnight. What seemingly happened overnight was the reveal of AI's capability and easy usability for the end user. And that made a lot of people freak out. I'm trying to look at it as a new tool, one that you must learn and get familiar with before you can utilize it to greater effect. Just like any other tool that came before. I want to take a fresh approach on how to learn programming during this time of technical innovation, utilizing AI for the beginning programmer, but also as an element of content creation for the learning individual.
Is that my clue? Are we talking about me now?
Nope, not yet. I hope I see you next time. Cheers.